Yeah, I'm saying what I think. You're saying what you think. We're just speaking, like we're just saying that we're not even meeting each other and trying to figure out what we have in common and what we don't. It's just like this.
Monique, man, that's
Did you see?
crazy.
Did you see? By the way, the full
I watched the
episode.
full interview. I watched the full interview. It was quite interesting. I'll tell you that much. I had so I never really listened to Monique before because she's been saying the same stuff. Technically, this is an old interview. She's been saying the same stuff for forever.
Mm-hmm.
She's been
Then
wronged by a bunch
yeah,
of people.
yeah,
So I didn't really listen before. So I think this whole situation became like a moment for her to reach new a new
a new
audience.
a new audience. Yeah, a
And I'm
broader
part of that
audience.
broader
Yeah,
audience because she's been saying this for years now.
yeah. And the thing is that um, so the fact that you have an open platform, because if you think about it, the whole podcast game gives people the room to just sit and express themselves almost uninterrupted. Well, they
Yep.
do get interrupted sometimes, but if you go to a TV station, if you get interviewed by one of the, like mainstream media or like just like a news, they have a segment and they can only have they can only show an interview of 5 minutes. So they would use the highlights maybe. And tops, it can be an hour, but then with interview, and then you still have a lot of points that you need to go through. But the podcast setting, you just sit and talk 3 hours long. Cat Williams interview was also 3+ hours. So
Yep.
it's like you have the space, and by doing so, you actually listen. You let the person, no, at least the person gets a chance to express the himself or herself. So I think this is the first. Maybe Monique has been saying a lot of things, but this is the first time I believe she's had the opportunity to really dive deep into all the things that she's been saying.
Diving deep, it's like you she put it all together in one interview rather
Yeah,
than separate interviews with all different topics.
yeah,
Um, one thing I'll say is this: I do agree with you on the fact that she definitely was able to express herself, but one small difference as well between mainstream media and podcast is mainstream media always, or media in general, always has an angle they want to attack you from. You don't have that, usually don't have that in podcasts. You last week, of course, the week before Super Bowl, you have the media row and in Las Vegas, and what's the CEO of UFC again? Dana White.
they know
Dana
it. Yeah.
White went to Pat McAfee show during the radio
Mhm.
row. And what he said, and that was really really funny. He said, "I don't do interviews anymore. I only do podcasts because podcasts you get the floor, like you said, you get the floor. Media always comes from an angle. They try to attack you. They try
Yeah.
to push a certain narrative that they get
Corner
from it.
you.
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
why a lot of people like, for example, guys like Pat McAfee, where you get the floor, you get to express yourself. But
Yes.
podcasts as well. Shannon is really starting to become that platform
Yeah.
for select.
Yeah. Because Shannon, if you look at Shannon's questions, he's always he's always asking them, for example, no, why do you say that? So
Yeah,
he's
without
basically, yeah, he's basically stimulating them to talk and express
judgment.
themselves. He's not really attacking them, because you also have podcasts where maybe they don't have necessarily an agenda,
Yep.
but they still have certain, let's say, things that they stand for. So if you have a podcast that's a political podcast and it's either right or left, for example, yeah, then if you say something about, you need to be a evolved person to hear something from the other side and accept it. But not everyone is like that. But in any
Oh,
case,
you evolve these days.
what did you say?
You're trying to say everyone is devolving these days.
That's those are your words. So let me see what.
No one is listening to each other anymore.
Yeah,
That's why I'm
it's
trying.
yeah. I'm saying what I think. You're saying what you think. We're just speaking, like we're just saying that we're not even meeting each other and trying to figure out what we have in common and what we don't. It's just like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
no
crazy.
one is trying to reach a common ground. It's crazy.
No, no, no.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
but yeah. So, what was your take?
So I'll start from the top. One thing I didn't like is how she was twisting Shannon's arm, and you ask yourself, when does she did that? She was basically telling him to look at the camera and invite Tyler Perry to. He did it a couple of times. I don't think that's. If you're on my platform, don't try to twist my arm to put other people under pressure.
Yeah,
I understand why she did that, but I didn't like that part.
I saw that. But what I find more the stories she say when people as a lawyer, I know that I don't trust people. I trust people to be themselves.
Mhm,
What do I mean by that? I trust that people will not tell the story completely, so in an objective way. There's always
mhm.
a certain level of objective, um yeah, like objective subjectivity, right? So
Yeah.
it's she's telling a story, and from her story you can conclude that she's been blackballed. We know that. You can
If you didn't understand that for the last 10 years, I probably have been
yeah,
deaf.
yeah. What I understood, because she talked about a couple of people, the
Yeah.
two most at least the biggest, the two biggest names were Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah.
Other people she mentioned were what was Tiffany
Kevin
Haddish
Hart.
was mentioned, Kevin Hart was mentioned, Cat
DL.
Williams was mentioned but was praised.
Yeah.
DL was also mentioned because that's the latest that was the latest discussion, right? The latest beef, public
Yeah.
beef at least. And she's saying that she's been blackballed. With regards to Tyler Perry, she seems to have an audio, and she apparently let Shannon listen to it, in which Tyler Perry admitted that he did her wrong.
Yep.
And with regards to Oprah, she was saying that Oprah simply didn't want her to win, that Oprah was sabotaging her and requesting roles that she was initially approached to do.
Offered to do.
She was offered to do. Yeah.
Offered.
So it's when you listen to those stories, you can conclude that if that is the case, then yeah, I can imagine why she feels the way she feels. With regards to Tyler Perry, if if you feel that you've been wronged, and you have an audio that says that in which Tyler Perry admits that he's done her wrong, then I can imagine you feeling bitter.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, and when she talked, because I always heard also a lot of stories about the man, her husband. He seems to be everywhere, but he's also her manager, and people seems to he's catching like a. I mean, people are dissing him, saying that he's they don't understand why he's always there,
Controlling. Yeah. Kind of a controlling.
controlling or whatever, right? Um, well, first before we talk about that, because that's a topic in itself.
Yeah.
KR, what did you think about the No, no. What do you think about that part? Them
The
saying
husbands.
yeah, the men. I mean,
Usually, what I can conclude from the times we're in and Hollywood itself, people are scared of masculine figures.
yeah,
I
that's your
think
take.
I've never seen the guy or heard him talk or anything, but it seems like he doesn't back down. Confrontational. I mean, he doesn't, as they say, pussyfoot. Um, and he's how you want to call it. He's protecting his wife in the
He's a
best way
straight
he
shooter.
can.
He's a straight
Straight
shooter.
shooter. Yeah.
Yeah.